Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome to the final match of the MALT Grand Finals. We had 32 players enter a very grueling bracket, and now only 2 remain. We have on the winner's side, Axelerrixx going up against the challenger they defeated in the finals, RhymesWithMash. There's a potential for a bracket reset if MASH ends up winning this first match, or Axelerrixx can win it all right here, right now. A best of 13 first to 7 match to determine who will be the grand champion of the first, and who knows, maybe only edition of MALT. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am joined in the commentary booth by none other than our wonderful host of this fantastic tournament, SurfChew85. Surf, how you doing?
Hello. It's 2 a.m. where I live, and I hope that this match indeed is worth staying up late for. Axelerrixx has shown quite the form throughout the entire tournament ever since the qualifiers, basically showing dominance up until to the finals weekend last week. RhymesWithMash, their opponent, will have to face an uphill battle, especially that if they do want to win this entire tournament, as you mentioned, they need to win 2 times in 2 matches in succession. And knowing this map pool, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, for sure, especially with the exponential skill boost that Axelerrixx has experienced throughout this tournament. There's a reason why they are standing in the winner's side of the bracket alone, but the only person that has really given them a bit of a run for their money was MASH during the finals, taking the most points anybody has against Axelerrixx at any point during this tournament on arguably the second hardest map pool in this tournament. So it'll be interesting to see how they both stack up against each other going into this grand finals pool. Axelerrixx having basically pick of the litter in terms of what MASH's scores were from yesterday when they played up against Nanon Bandusty to get to this point. So hopefully they've taken the opportunity to strategize, and MASH gonna start this match off with LN2.
Actually, funny you mentioned that. Actually, no, not mentioned. More like, I just noticed, but this is actually the first time we'll be seeing this chart, I think, this weekend. Or wait a sec. My memory.
It's been a hot minute since we've seen an LN2 get played in match. This one surviving was banned in the match versus Nanon Bandusty. So Axelerrixx not having any scores to go off of on this particular map. So a great way to start things off to keep your scores hidden and not give your opponent something to work with here. It'd be interesting to see how Axelerrixx responds. They tend to self-admittedly falter on coordination LN maps, but they have shown a propensity to hang on to some good accuracy, but not going to be able to hold on to the full combo right out of the gate here. Already down to some 98% range. MASH doing very well to be in that 99% range, but it is very early going here.
Axelerrixx has been showing some decent form, especially for charts that they aren't really super good at, like relatively, that they can recover from early mistakes pretty much. RhymesWithMash, on the other hand, like, finding a considerable amount of misses early on. While this chart is on the shorter side, we're around 2 minutes. Like, you really want to limit those misses, especially with charts like this. LN coordination tend to be like really slow, not many notes. There's not like a miss is not something you'd want, especially with a combo cap. Like, there's not enough room for you to recover.
Yeah, for sure. We're already seeing that come to fruition here. MASH really not being able to settle in on this chart. Axelerrixx, sure, maybe having a couple of issues of their own to navigate, but just able to cling on to tiny little slivers of combo more than Mash and working it to great effect. As we make our way into the last quarter, their lead already about 38,000 points despite finding a slider break. Going to put a little bit of a damper on things as Mash starts to make the recovery run. Both players down to that 97% range, and those trades only help Axelerrixx at the moment. Not a lot of charge still left to go here, as we're on course for the first breakpoint in this match.
RhymesWithMash finding a few more, finding a few more misses than Axelerrixx, especially at the very beginning. While you see that ratio, RhymesWithMash definitely can outact Axelerrixx on charts like these, but the amount of drops that they've conceded ever since the very beginning of this chart does not really help them.
Yeah, and they have shown that before in earlier rounds where they do have the accuracy to put up some competitive scores, just lacking that little bit of consistency here and there to really see themselves over the line on some points that they feel like they should be winning. But it is the first point. There's still plenty more maps to go, but Axelerrixx with a very early break point, and I imagine they'll probably want to dive back on up into the right side of the pool.
Indeed. And also something that I kind of want to take note as well is that Mash doesn't exactly have that fog of war phenomenon going for them, especially that they did feature in a match yesterday, and that went kind of to the distance. So Axelerrixx definitely has an overview of practically every single chart against RhymesWithMash. It is not exactly a position you really want to be in.
Yeah, and they're potentially going to be able to use that information to their advantage, going for Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, for their first pick in this match. And based on the level of proficiency they've shown on this style of chart in the past, I would not be surprised if they get really close to a full combo on something like this. But as I say that, finding an instant break gets traded back by Mash. This introduction very annoying to get through unscathed.
Yeah. This chart is something else. The amount of concentration you actually need to pull off those mini jacks is quite immense. While the patterns look tame if you're knowledgeable enough in 7K, like those patterns are they're not fun.
For sure, especially with them being on column 1 and 7 respectively. You're trusting a seldomly used finger sometimes to handle some pretty quick mini jacks, but both of them able to recover pretty nicely after their earlier slip ups. But as I say at Mash, finding a drop in the build-up going into the second third of the chart, Axelerrixx still manages to hold on, and they're going to start building this lead.
And it's this section in particular is actually pretty easy to build up your accuracy on. It's a pretty straightforward chord stream for the most part. But then we transition to more of these brackety chord streams now, and from my knowledge, RhymesWithMash was capable of basically combo this section last time around, but unlike last time, they weren't able to maintain that combo. And now we enter to the more tricky section where you're asked to hit pretty heavy chords and the occasional grace notes as well, and that is not easy to act.
Yeah, for sure, but Axelerrixx making it look like child's play at the moment. Last quarter of the chart still left to go here, holding on to this 99.4. Mash not too far behind, 98.7, still very respectable, but gonna need to pick up the pace here in this last segment if they want to try and at least make a dent in this lead that Axelerrixx has built up to make it a little bit closer than it probably feels right now.
Axelerrixx really destroyed that column 1 section. That is funny.
That being said, finding a little bit of a hiccup, just a little bit of a damper on what has been a relatively clean performance, but still able to pull it through in the end. Manages 69,000 points and winning that ratio battle on the Rice charts. Going to be able to successfully capitalize on that breakpoint to make it 2-0 now.
Now it's time for RhymesWithMash to find a way to answer the 2 points that have been dealt against them.
I think it might have to come down to those hybrids. Maybe just a bit of a consistency check. See if Axelerrixx finds a couple more slip ups because they are capable of hacking their way through some of these harder charts that they would need to find a map that they can consistently full combo or at least get close to a full combo on. But it's going to be LN3 here.
LN3, actually, that's interesting. I didn't foresee RhymesWithMash actually picking the LN density this early, though. Something that something I remember from yesterday is that this went down the wire against Tanaban Dusty.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only thing that RhymesWithMash has to be super careful of is being able to get through this without dropping too much. Because what happened yesterday was that there were like a few misses, like they were able to build up a decent combo, and then the misses just started to just go haywire.
Alrighty, so we'll see if they can clean up that performance from yesterday and improve on the score they put down, because you imagine Axelerrixx is going to be very comfortable on a chart like this. LN density, definitely one of their strengths that they have discovered throughout this tournament that they were capable of playing. And right now, strong starts for both players, just lingering in and around that 99% range. That being said, mashing a significant more damage to their accuracy as we continue through here. Both players comfortably over that 400 combo cap and holding on to their FCs for the moment.
Right, so that's actually both players find the trading misses, as you mentioned their combos earlier. But then something interesting that I saw at the very beginning is that Axelerrixx was actually releasing pretty early while RhymesWithMash was releasing pretty late. And that trend is still kind of visible until right now, but it's really, but like this chart is kind of showing the difference in physicality between these two players, at least the skill cap. RhymesWithMash finding a bit more of a messy performance relative to what we see from Axelerrixx right here, who's been carrying that pretty sizable combo now.
Yeah, able to avoid some of those slider breaks. Mash finding another one on the transition, and another 2, 3 to boot. Axelerrixx finally trading one back, but the damage is being done here. They are coming out ahead in these trades, and they are growing this advantage as we make our way into the last third of the chart now. It is basically more of the same coming through here, and we see more of those trends that you were bringing up here. The early releases versus the late releases. Axelerrixx finding another break, but that's only a drop in the bucket compared to what Mash needs to make up here to try and claw this lead back. But with only a sliver chart left to go and that next drop, it might be a little too late for them to make any sort of comeback on this chart, with Axelerrixx looking to pick up their second breakpoint in this match.
And just a few seconds away from being 4 points away from winning the entire tournament. Not exactly a position that RhymesWithMash wants to be in.
Yeah, overall good runs. I mean, it is suffice to say that these are very hard charts, suitable for grand finals, but definitely can become 50-50s when you're trying to play through them in a tournament setting.
I really like the dialogue they're having in the in-game chat right now.
Listen, they're getting into it. They
Yeah.
know their role in this tournament, providing some wonderful entertainment between the picks. And we're gonna go for area idea. So RhymesWithMash going to be the pick here.
Race 6 was the chart. The RhymesWithMash closed out the losers bracket finals yesterday. And it's really funny to see that the player who has more advantage on a certain match, it becomes their disadvantage on the next. It's a pretty interesting dynamic that we usually see in tournaments like these, like, especially when the players have like a certain skill gap or skill imbalance.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see that when you have that unstoppable force meeting the immovable object, which one relents that little bit more. And right now we're seeing Axelerrixx being able to show off this. It's not a big gap between Mash and Axelerrixx on these rice charts, but it is enough to put Axelerrixx ahead. It feels like on each one that they have played so far. And it's a very stark contrast, like you were mentioning, to how MASH got their win yesterday against Nanon Bandusty, where they were the ones relying on these rice picks to see them through. So they're gonna need to make the adjustment here, prove that they can handle their own on the LNs and the hybrids to try and claw back some of this point deficit. But as we continue on into area idea, Axelerrixx showing off their comfort at the moment. 99.89 to the 99.2, and the break from MASH going into the second quarter of the chart.
Yeah, there are a lot of mini jacks throughout the stream, throughout the chord streams that are scattered basically throughout the entire thing. And from what I remember, RhymesWithMash hasn't exactly been able to hold on to that through the mini jacks. Same goes for Nanon Bandusty, but like RhymesWithMash, while they did get a relatively cleaner run, that's why they were able to close out that match yesterday. It's really different when you're facing someone who's just casually carrying a 99.7.
99.7 even with a drop. That is some terrifying levels of accuracy. That UR bar is basically dead center before the chords start to get a lot denser. And as we make our way into the last third of the chart, MASH gonna find another drop here, gonna help increase this lead that Axelerrixx has built up. And it is just going to get from bad to worse. But Axelerrixx finds a drop of their own and a bit of accuracy loss to boot as well. But MASH not going to be able to take advantage here, finding one in return. Still a quarter of the chart left to go, but the score lead has ballooned to about 40,000 points now.
And there's still a few more notes in this chart, but like, it'll take some massive breakdown here from Axelerrixx for RhymesWithMash to even catch up. And I don't think any of these misses coming from them will matter because that just stretches the lead and the result has practically been sealed.
Yeah, just the final closing notes of this chart, and Axelerrixx going to make it 4-0 right out of the gate here, really putting the pressure on MASH to try and find an answer to what has been a very consistent performance so far. 2 for 2 on LN, 2 for 2 on Rice now.
I think it would be right to assume that RhymesWithMash will probably just close out the rest of the LN pool over the next few picks and maybe try to steal a point off Axelerrixx to at least extend this match by one more chart or two.
Potentially, it looks like they're gonna duke it out on LN5 here to try and find a foothold in this match. And I mean, to be fair, what they're losing in the map picks, they are winning in the mental game in the lobby chat. I feel like Axelerrixx is scared because of the fact that MASH is just so in character right now. It is actually funny to see.
I admire the
commitment to the bit.
I can't think of the words right now. I'm on 2 a.m. brain right now. I'm not prepared to show my fluency in English right now. I can't even think straight. What the heck?
Listen, that is A-okay. We just need you to be coherent enough to get us over the line here. It has been a very long tournament. It has been a lot of very long weekends, but it is quickly coming to a close here, especially if MASH can't find an answer to what has been a dominating performance from Axelerrixx so far. Maybe LN5 holds the key to get back into this match. Remains to be seen. Axelerrixx finding the first break here.
Actually, has Axelerrixx ever full combo the chart this match yet? I'm pretty sure no full combos yet throughout the entire thing.
Nobody has full comboed a chart this weekend so far. I feel like one of us is going to get up and leave if somebody does. You have even gone the lengths of even changing your name to reflect the fact that you don't really want people getting FCs on these charts.
Actually, there's an Easter egg. Like our server nickname, like our nicknames on the Discord server are basically a clue on what our sections are on the tiebreaker. But I think it's kind of describing the entire map pool now.
Yes.
Axelerrixx surprisingly carrying better accuracy and more of these coordination-like sections, but they're finding a pretty messy section. As RhymesWithMash is also doing so as well. It's just really Axelerrixx's overall accuracy making the difference. Like, this is really close.
Yeah, it's clean drops versus messy transitions at the moment. And Mash is actually trying their best to keep this clawable. And as we make our way through into the back half of the chart now, these staggered stair LN walls are so hard to get through unscathed. We have seen massive amounts of accuracy being dropped before in the previous match, and we're seeing more of it now here. The players trading back and forth, but Axelerrixx staying ahead to the tune of about 15,000 points, not giving away too much accuracy or combo the way of Mash to work with. But there's still a third of the chart left to go. There's still plenty of tricks left up this map sleeve. It is up to Mash to try and pull it together for this outro, but they are finding so many breaks on these transitions.
Both players actually getting through that invert wall kind of fine, but really the accuracy difference already almost a full percentage. But like even the accuracy difference doesn't really tell like the story here. Like you normally in tournaments we'll see like what 50-60,000 point gaps whenever there's like a percent gap between these two players, but close.
Right now, it just feels like death by 1,000 cuts. It's just for every 2 or 3 drops Mash finds, Axelerrixx answers back with maybe one of their own, and it's just adding up throughout the chart. And as we close out LN5, Axelerrixx is going to make it 5 points to the good for now. 2 more to go to close out this tournament, and it's their next pick.
Actually, now that I remembered something, there is one chart that I think should be able to break the no FC this weekend curse.
Oh yeah,
It should be
Corjax
Rise
exists.
4.
I mean, we could get the funny. We can get a V1SS with like 30 misses.
Oh yeah, that's also possible. Actually, not Rise 4, maybe Rise 3.
I forget which one's the Corjack pick. They all kind of blend together sometimes.
Wait, 4 is Corjack pick. Okay, it's 4. All right, there we go. Major is still open. But then, if it's like the easiest to FC, you'd also open up an opportunity for Mash to catch up. Like, if you want to get the sweep to win the entire thing in style, you might want to. Ooh.
Nero Cloud9 is going to be the pick for Axelerrixx Hybrid 3 coming through here. So taking a break from the Rice picks, has looked consistent on the LNs and the Rice. What happens when you start to combine those two together?
Man, I kind of want to read this chat aloud.
Let's not.
Yeah, like thy treacherous heart doth betray thee, for all I can see the falsehood in thy eyes. Oh my gosh!
Mash,
I think I need
with
to.
With the accusations here.
Yeah.
Accusing Axelerrixx of not being pure, sticking to the Rice, betraying who they are, and going for the hybrids. Now, I was saying this could be Mash's best opportunity to try and basically pull the wool over Axelerrixx's eyes. and get themselves at least a point.
Let's enjoy Yoruda together. Guys, you're not playing 4K right now.
Listen, for Axelerrixx, this is basically just 4 plus 3.
Yeah. In a way, RhymesWithMash might also treat this as 4+3. Both of these players do have they're pretty decent players, 4K players. And I
For
think pretty
sure.
decent might be an understatement.
I made it this far. They have to be a little bit more than decent to make it this far. But with that being said, we're going to get into the 6th map of this best of 13. Axelerrixx currently holding all the cards in their possession, not looking to share anytime soon as we get underway with the first hybrid of this match. And we'll see if Mash can pull something together to notch a point on the board right now, looking very good through this introduction, holding on to the accuracy lead as well as the score lead to the tune of only 600 points.
Yeah, that's definitely a lead. But then a lot of the meat of the start is yet to come, so you cannot really rest right now. And
For sure.
it would have been a shame if we saw a drop on that mini break section. Thankfully, both players are still carrying their combos, but anytime from now, we might be seeing both of these drop like flies.
And here we go into the drop. And both of them holding on very strong. Mash finding the first break going into this chorus section. Axelerrixx finds a response, but Mash doesn't take advantage here as they find a massive accuracy drop to go with it as well. Down into the low 98s, going to drop into the 97s. They are too careful. Axelerrixx still in the high 98s themselves, but they have started to pull away here in terms of the lead. 15,000 points and climbing since they are still above that 400 combo cap. Mash going to be able to stem the bleeding just a little bit going into the last third of the chart. This spacebar anchor doesn't catch either of them out, but they do trade a couple of bad judgments through it as they transition on into this LN section.
Axelerrixx finding a drop on the funniest section of the start. But I don't think that matters right now unless RhymesWithMash manages to find a way to climb that accuracy gap. But one of these players keeping on trading drops, and trades do favor the person in the lead. Axelerrixx finding one more drop, but it's a relatively clean one. They didn't really drop too much accuracy, so the lead stays as is.
Yeah, still 22,000 points, and despite the fact that Mash was able to combo through it, actually Axelerrixx building on that lead. And it might be too little too late. That last drop going to be the final nail in the coffin for Mash. Axelerrixx with a couple extra misses for the road, but it is only going to shrink what has been a very massive advantage that they have built up. And they're going to be able to hang on. It is now championship point for Axelerrixx, 6-0 against RhymesWithMash, with it all to do to force that tiebreaker to come out.
And of course, Axelerrixx immediately mentioning, "Let us journey to thy tiebreaker village." Of course. But I mean, to be fair, either way, if this match ends, they will still be playing the tiebreaker, just according to tradition.
Yeah, for funsies.
But it would be nice if, we actually play the tiebreaker for what it is.
Yeah, it would be nice, but right now it's very clear that Axelerrixx is very comfortable on this pool. Sure, finding a couple of drops here and there, but doing just enough to see themselves over the line, similar to how Mash did so against Nanon Bandusty yesterday. Is basically just the script being flipped on Mash this time around. And Axelerrixx gonna take a tiny bit of a break.
Yeah. Does that break also? I guess now that they mentioned drinking water, just remember stay hydrated and all of that stuff.
Hydrate or dihydrate, the name of the game when all is said and done, and gives us an opportunity to kind of take stock of what has happened so far. The match started about 30 minutes ago, and we have seen what is now 4 LN charts, 2 rice picks, and 1 hybrid, and Axelerrixx winning all 6 presented so far.
And one more chart away from ending the entire thing right now. Also, I think like we were mentioning full combos and all of that stuff. I think but when we realize like how hard the pools should, like, we needed to push the pools. I think it became a passive goal for us that there should be no FCs in a match for this weekend. Will this end the dream as well?
I mean, it is an LN pick. It is very easy to find slider breaks here or there when the density does start to pick up. And even during the calmer coordination-based sections, it is just prime opportunity to find drops. But right now, neither player succumbing to it. But as I say that, MASH, the first one to find it. Axelerrixx does trade it back here.
No FCs. Let's go.
No more FCs. Mission accomplished so far. 6 for 6. Now 7 for 7 now. As we continue on here, second, third of the chart upcoming. Axelerrixx ahead, but only by a tiny margin. This is the closest we have seen both of these players for a hot minute for now, but MASH finding pretty significant drops to their accuracy, trying to keep their combo going. They know they need to at least hang on to that at the expense of some of their accuracies. Still in the 98.5 range. Axelerrixx about 0.5% ahead at the moment, and starting to grow this lead to the tune of about 8,000 points because they haven't found a drop for a really long time as well.
Well, RhymesWithMash really needs Axelerrixx to drop somewhere right now, but unfortunately they trade. But Axelerrixx finds an additional one.
There's a window of opportunity. MASH not above that 400 combo cap to try and capitalize, and is going to be unable to make it up above it. Axelerrixx keeping it clean just that tiny bit longer and able to basically stem some of the bleeding and rebuild some of the advantage that they had built up. There's an eighth of the chart left to go. There's an eighth of the chart potentially left in this tournament. Axelerrixx has faced all comers and come out ahead of them all. It was very close during the finals weekend. MASH pushing Axelerrixx at the hardest that they have been throughout this entire tournament, but making quick work of their opponent, and they close it out. Championship points secured. It is going to be Axelerrixx winning this tournament by a margin of 7-0.
Doing it in style. The number 1 seed, dominant throughout the entire thing. And massive congratulations to Axelerrixx for winning a project that is very special to me and to like a lot of people that have worked on this over the past few months. Thank you for giving us a fun time, especially the map pools. Like, my gosh. Same goes for RhymesWithMash as well. Thank you so much for showing up in this tournament. Like, you're one of the coolest people in the roster as well. Like, the entire roster is cool. I think that's something I could say. Man, I'm actually starting to become emotional right now.
It is. It is a culmination of many weeks worth of work, a lot of sleepless nights, I would imagine, trying to ensure the best time for everybody involved as we take a final look at the bracket here. Like I said, over 32 people entering this bracket for a chance at the title. And who'da thunk, our number 1 seed. Qualifiers worked as intended, coming out on top in the end. Had to put in some work towards the back half of the tournament, but able to pull it through in the end. As we load up the tiebreaker here, customary as a bit of a showcase whenever it isn't actually used. And Surf, I mean, I'll leave the floor to you. Do you have any final words as we wrap up what has been a wonderful experiment in the 7 key community?
Well, as we see both of these players play one of the longer tiebreakers we've seen in the Mania tournament scene,
Oh, sweet Jesus, 8.5 minutes.
regardless of any tournament. I think the longest I've seen was around 9, and that was on the other end of the 7K player base, the ETT last year. But yeah, ever since the 7K Mania World Cup this year happened, like something that I've noticed throughout like the past few months, I mean even last year when MWC 7K returned, like there was a certain rejuvenation in the interest in playing 7K. And one of the things that I've noticed is that if there's something to work towards too, it's the players are going to come.
Yeah,
And
I can definitely agree with that sentiment.
and that's why I was thinking to maybe do a lower level 7K tournament, like not really aim towards like the super high level players, like showcase the more developing player base, and maybe try to pull in some more new players. And
Yeah.
that's how MALT started becoming a concept.
Yeah, I
And
can imagine seeing the high level tournaments year in, year out, like you were saying, the 7 Key World Cup, ETT kind of showcasing the furthest echelons of high level 7 key play. It leaves a bit of a gap that needs to be filled for those that are just below or just starting out getting their feet wet with 7 key, because it is a very daunting game mode if you approach it from, say, the 4 key perspective, because of the fact that there's just so much more you can do in terms of pattern representation, the difficulty spikes that can kind of put some players off, trying to strike that balance between being beginner friendly but still challenging those that are just below the like top tier of 7 key play. I imagine has been quite a challenge to strike on a tournament like this.
oh yes, that was like one of the main struggles we had in map pool selection, like
Mhm.
finding the right charts to put in. Like it's kind of noticeable that there have been a lot of BMS converts, some of your occasional Auto Jam converts as well. Because
Mhm.
if there's like one thing that we really noticed, and I guess it's kind of the limitation we put, like please no ranked or loved charts in the pools as much as possible. Like that might have bitten our backs. Like it kind of backfired on us probably. But like if there's like something that we really noticed is that there is a lack in lower level 7K charts or lower to intermediate level 7K charts, like the ones we are seeing in the map pools for this tournament. Like, it has been fun charting custom stuff made for this tournament. Like that process has been fun, but finding the right ones, especially when we needed to adapt the map pools as well to this player base, which has basically exceeded what we expected. At least like the map pools should have been easier than what we're seeing right now. The places are just too good. Like, it has been really difficult, and I hope that at least for those who want to make stuff for 7K, like try to approach the lower levels as well, because low level charting is an art. It's an art form in itself. It's an art form, like how you make the high level charts you make for, let's say, BMS or O2 Jam, or even just for Osamania in itself. Like give like the players a taste of like charts that we see in the competitive scene. Like there's like a real lack in lower level core jack charts, which is only started to be filled in. Uh, Shoutouts to Lenpai, PWHK for that, and as well for long notes. Surprisingly, while Autogram style charts are pretty famous, but then those are more on the density side, like the ones that are commonly played. Like we rarely see those low level full LN invert charts, or just a full on LN coordination stuff. Like shoutouts to Welben-chan, Irone Osu, uh, Makiba as well. Uh, like their stuff have been super helpful to us. There was also Minato Aqua, not the VTuber, the Osumania player. Like their charts as well. Like they're pretty difficult. We weren't able to use much of their charts during Mapo selection, but like those are like the names that low level players should look at. Like whenever you say Allied Coordination, oh okay, I'm gonna play a circuit chart. I'm gonna play in Erode Osu chart or something like that. Like there's like a lot of material, but right now there is still a lack of them in a way.
Yeah, it's very hard to, like, how easy is too easy and how hard is too hard, trying to strike that balance, because like I was mentioning, just trying to keep it accessible for people that want to try and get into it. Like you see the 7 key World Cup maps getting ranked and they break the PP scale to the point where people are complaining for reworks in the 7 key formulas. Like trying to find those maps and then trying to balance it out with low level stuff that can get people potentially as like a stepping stone to get to that sort of performance level, I imagine is one of the goals for folks like yourself to try and encourage people to go out there and create the stuff to kind of fill the gaps there.
Yeah, and I hope that at least for the charters we have, they I hope that they continue to be able to touch like stuff around this level,
Mhm.
or maybe even lower than that. Like try to cover for the gaps that that haven't been filled in ever since like the early years of the game mode.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at some of the old stuff. I mean, you took pride in adding some of the older content into this tournament's map pools early on, and I imagine getting the bit of the nostalgia trip, reminiscing on some of those charts and some of the moments that those were used in was pretty nice. And as we come to an end on this chart as well, the tiebreaker being played for us by both Axelerrixx and Mash, do you have any final words, any people you want to shout out in particular as we bring this tournament to an end here?
I want to give many thanks to every single staff member that have been so faithful and so helpful to this effort, especially to our graphics team, Polytetral, Yuki Nameng, our Skinner. Wait, like I forgot the username unfortunately. wait, let me get the scratch paper for a second.
While you do that, I'll go ahead, shout out all the referees that took time out of their busy weekends to help ensure that the matches were able to be played. The folks that commentated however many matches that they could, no matter how many or how few you were able to, even if you couldn't at all, just being around to potentially help out is more than enough. And a special shout out to the players as well. For without them, we wouldn't have a tournament like this. We wouldn't be able to put on a production to this scale or even have the motivation to even try if they weren't willing to sacrifice some of their own time as well to try and see how they stack up against other blossoming 7 key players. And as this chart comes to an end, so too will this tournament. We thank you all for watching. And Surf, have you managed to find
Yeah, I did. Shout outs to Ice Miles for creating this note skin. Thank you so much for beautifying what we see here on what we see here on stream. Oh my gosh, my tongue is getting tied. Um, I'm gonna mention quite a few more names. I hope you guys don't mind.
Go
Thank you
for
so
it.
much to Too Fast for making some of our spreadsheets, especially the stat sheet that has been constantly updated. Thank you so much. And you already mentioned the streamers, commentators, and the referees. Again, I want to say it again. Thank you so much for dedicating all as much time as you could. The journey hasn't exactly been smooth, and it has been long. But without you guys, I don't think this tournament would have survived at all, and we wouldn't have delivered the experience that we wanted to all of the players who have participated. Thank you so much to all of the players who joined. Thank you guys so much. We were expecting like what 30 something people to register. Turns out we got more than 100 people to register, and we were forced to expand the tournament just to make sure that as many more people can get more tournament experience, especially on 7K. Uh, you guys rock. And like I want to say it again. Like I said this on in an announcement for the map pool selection team. I'm not just limiting it to the selectors. I'm including all of the custom charters, all of the playtesters who have done a lot, especially to Makiba, Tasty Dumpling, and Maple Syrup, who have, and Lenpai, PWHK, Irone Osu. Like I have to mention those names because you guys literally saved the Maple selection effort. Like you guys were the ones who did not sleep alongside me, like making sure all of the Maples are actually formed and all of that stuff. Lead you as well. Thank you so much for covering like the stuff that we would have missed, especially that you're one of the players who is well within the skill level that we are aiming for. And obviously, thank you so much to my co-hosts, Alter and Albion the Great. Thank you so much for being the other eyes in this tournament when I haven't been exactly the best of health throughout the entire thing, and thank you guys so much for covering when when I couldn't.
Yep. So if there's anybody we missed, of course, we thank you as well. There are many unsung heroes, people behind the scenes working diligently to ensure that we were able to put on the production we were able to put on. And I'm sure we'll be able to reminisce, remark, and laugh about some of the sillier moments of this tournament. There's no perfect production, and there never will be, but we can at least enjoy the times that we have had. So on behalf of everybody here on the MALT staff team, Surf and myself, and our wonderful streamers and referees, we'll catch you guys later.